Hi, and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Sean.
Chris.
Lee.
We had news on a Monday.
A little bit of news.
We did have some news. End of an era.
Well, is it... No, wait, hang on. Is it news on a Monday, or is it Tuesday's news that's so late because of who it is?
Oh, last Tuesday's
Tuesday's
news.
news.
Right, it might be.
No, was last Tuesday's news not Ericsson?
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Ericsson to IndyCar.
Yeah.
That's done. Next.
This one is Rob Smedley is leaving Williams.
Has head of performance,
Head of Performance
Engineering.
which means he was responsible for the car being good.
The performance engineering of the car.
Which,
yes.
as somebody pointed out earlier on today, there hasn't been either with them this season.
No performance or engineering. So why is he there?
Well,
Because Felipe Massa was there.
You know that joke I made last week about him ending up as race engineer for Massa's Formula E team and they're going to get Alonso in as his teammate?
Could happen.
All falling into place. Is he going to be missed? Probably not.
I don't think so.
Smedley.
Yeah, I don't think he'll
At
be
Williams.
missed.
I think, of course, he'd be missed. He's a massively experienced man.
I just think his what Dan was saying on our chat, was it Dan was saying on our chat thread? Probably something to do with him and Paddy having different opinions on things.
I think
being the chief man.
Williams' problems run deeper than the staff it has. And
Of course, yeah.
I think with him leaving, I think this is more about frustration from him being in a back of the grid team after he was in Ferrari than it is about him not doing his job properly.
The other problem, of course, with him being an experienced name is that he's probably quite an expensive name.
Yeah.
And with Lance Stroll going and taking his millions, we assume that they might not be able to afford him.
Yeah,
Maybe they needed the rich energy money to pay his salary next season.
maybe.
And they haven't got it.
I wonder whether he's the first one off the sinking ship.
Jumping before he's pushed.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I wonder whether
You are so manx you can't even say what off a sinking ship.
Yeah.
There's no Martini sponsorship, no Lance Stroll money. We don't know whose money is going to come in to float Williams for next year.
We don't even know if there's going to be SMP money from Sorokin because they've not confirmed him being there.
That strange Polish fuel money from Kubica.
Is Kubica going to be there?
Or the
Is he
Esteban Gutierrez money.
11 million. Sadly, it's pesos and not pounds.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, strange times for Williams. I've got to sort of think that partially what Lee was saying, Rob Smedley is leaving rather than Williams have asked him to leave.
I mean, the press release was worded very vaguely that Rob Smedley is to leave the team. It didn't say either way. Did he jump or was he pushed?
No, I think it's probably him gone.
A mutual decision.
Yeah, he implied in his quotes in the press release that he wanted to spend more time with his family and blah, 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 and all that lot.
You have that sometimes in Formula
Yeah,
One. People
you need
want
a
to
break.
spend more time with your family. Who knows?
He's
Maybe.
been there a long time.
4 years.
No,
Five?
not in
5
Formula
years.
One.
Oh, in Formula One. Yeah.
Yeah, he was Jordan,
I was gonna say.
and then he was at Ferrari, and then Williams. So
When you think about it, I mean, he was one of the key people at Ferrari when Ferrari were up there and winning and doing well. You know, I don't think you forget how to do that just because you've gone to work for a team with a white car.
no, it was a step up as well, wasn't he, with Williams from where he was at Ferrari?
Yeah, it was a step
So,
up. Yeah.
Head of performance engineering for Obviously, the cars had failings this year, and the buck stops with Rob Smedley when it comes to performance. Hence his title.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem with that is that title's a bit nebulous because he's not the car designer. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. The job title was created for him when he joined the team.
Yeah. So I don't, because it's got performance in the title, I wouldn't say that he's responsible for the performance of the team. Do you know what I mean?
The C. Montgomery Burns Award for Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's. I think it's going to be a shame for Williams. I don't think it looks good going into next year. If
He's going to turn up at Sauber, do you reckon, with Kimi?
I think you'll go with McLaren.
You think? Ooh, that'd be interesting.
McLaren need people, and
Out of the frying pan into the wok.
Woking, surely.
If James Key doesn't quite work out. I mean, Paddy Lowe used to work was McLaren, wasn't he? Left
He was
to go
McLaren and then went to
Mercedes.
Mercedes, yeah.
Paddy Lowe's done most of the grid.
Yeah.
But this is Paddy Lowe's second spell at Williams.
Yeah.
We'll see how well. We'll see how right Dan is about maybe Paddy and them weren't working well, because they might end up with the same team together. In that case, they probably were working well, but they couldn't work in that place. I think that's what's going to happen. By the way, I think Smedley's going to go somewhere else, and I think Paddy Lowe's going to go to the same place when he's available. That's how I think it'll shake out.
You've just got to wonder though where it's going to leave Williams for next year, because choked to say it, they've got to improve. Otherwise, we could be seeing 9 teams on the grid.
They've got no excuse. Even like what you say about the sponsorship money and stuff like that.
Well, it's all going. That's the thing.
Yeah, but there is still no excuse. It's the same as McLaren. There's no excuse for either of those teams to be where they are when you look at the infrastructure they've got.
Yeah.
I think both teams have management problems. You've got to say that for all the good talk that goes on at McLaren, if they don't start shipping up soon, what's his name? Zach Brown. He's got to be first in line for replacement.
Well, I think he's going to be the one that's most likely to go, because he's not a shareholder. He is just an employee of the McLaren Group. And I think that was the reason that Ron Dennis got forced out, because he was battling with Mansour Ojay, who was the majority shareholder. Ron owned 25%, just found himself being outvoted constantly. Then was voted off the board.
Yeah.
And his contract, because he had a contracted job as well as a shareholder. And they decided not to renew his contracted job, which is why he got the boot.
Yeah.
But what McLaren have done this last season is they've reorganised the management structure, because they had something matrix management, where everyone was responsible for everything else. And that's not really worked.
Too many.
Well, that's one of the reasons Eric Boulier went, isn't it? Because
too many
he was in
cooks.
charge of racing, and then Zach Brown was in charge of something else, and then someone else was in charge of something else, and that's why they got rid of a load of people, so that now Zach Brown is everything, really. Everyone is answering to him. So if it's shit,
it's kind of weird though, isn't it? Because from them, they've changed from having these different people to do different jobs. They've changed them, essentially made Zach, Ron.
Yes.
They've gone back to the way it was, but Zach isn't Ron.
They've taken the Ron Dennis culture out, but put another person in the Ron Dennis position after realising that not having the Ron Dennis style of management didn't work. But yeah, Zach Brown is not Ron Dennis.
Ron Dennis might be proved right next year if Honda start winning races, or if they really get their act together with Red Bull. Because you've got to think that McLaren was still playing nicely with Honda when Ron was there. Ron really believed in that.
How have we got this onto McLaren again?
Because it's us.
Idea. But he believed in that, so in that program, and I think they'd still have Honda engines this year if Ron was still in the team.
Oh yeah, I mean we said at the time when they made the announcement that we're going with Renault for 2018 that getting rid of Honda is the last. That's the last statue of Ron that's getting pulled down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Renault power unit is supposed to be making significant improvements for 2019. Well, you hear this every year from engine manufacturers, don't you? Oh, we hope to be on par with Ferrari, Mercedes.
This is the Renault power unit this year that's won races, not just in Mexico.
Yeah, but is it the Renault power unit that's won races, or is the Red Bull chassis?
Yeah, there's that question as well, isn't there? It's hard to tell. Yes, it has won races, but as Lee says, if Red Bull could do the same with that Honda power unit in the back, then it's clearly Red Bull, not Renault or Tag Heuer that have been able to do that for them.
But moving back to Williams, where do they go from here? Apart from cap in hand to any potential sponsor or pay driver.
Mercedes, I think, is the only place they can go and say, excuse me, we were actually now quite open to being a junior team.
If that might have already happened.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, that might have happened with the George Russell deal.
George allegedly made that deal by himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Consider so Mercedes are just letting their junior drivers run around making their own contracts now. Seems fishy to me.
Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to explain that to Toto? Like, I've got to sort myself out with something. Don't worry about it.
Hey, Mercedes, let their junior drivers talk to us.
Yeah, with a chaperone.
Yeah. Yeah, Ocon could find himself rescued by, strangely, Mercedes if they manage to put Ocon in a Williams and they just become a Mercedes junior team almost.
Yeah.
Not, I don't say feeder team, but this part might work. Stick it on the Williams first, see what happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, that works. Well, we'll have that. That didn't work. Let's not have that. Pooling the resources together of Williams and Mercedes in a slightly rule-bending fashion.
In a grey area.
Yeah, in the grey zone, should we say?
But the same grey that's the colour of the Haas. That kind of grey zone.
Yeah, that's Ferrari grey zone though, wasn't it? Not Mercedes grey zone. But yeah,
Might be the silver zone then.
yeah,
I think it's more the Sauber zone we're actually talking about.
Oh, it's Sauber next season, but it's definitely been Haas this year.
I don't know. I mean, Scarbs put that to bed when he was on the show. The old being last year's Ferrari.
Oh yeah, it's been upgraded since then, but I think
No,
I think the car was initially based on last year's Ferrari.
I don't know. He didn't seem to think so. Going with Scarbs on it.
Well, obviously the floor wasn't because
the Sauber looks different as well.
Yeah.
From Sauber this year looks different to anything else. And I'm wondering if maybe somebody else had a hand in just designing that, but who knows?
I mean, let's face it. If Toro Rosso looks different to the Red Bull, if there was any team that was going to get the same chassis as the other
following
team,
year, yeah. So yeah, worrying times for Williams. Is this the start of the last few big names left at the team? As Lee says, jumping ship.
Well, it's going to give us something to wildly speculate about all over the winter between now and testing. And
Yeah, I'll take a wild speculation. They didn't actually name anyone else in their press release. They didn't say what else they're doing or what they're restructuring to replace Smedley. If we're talking about them potentially being a Mercedes feeder team, would Mercedes also want to put a technical person there?
Maybe.
Promote someone into a lesser team.
This is what makes me think that it's a snap thing. It's not like something that's been planned, because usually in a press release it's
this person's going and this person's taking over, and it's very exciting.
And everything's brilliant. Everyone's all happy. This is very much like we've lost somebody.
Yeah. And we're still trying to figure out who we're putting in their place. When you put it like that,
it does make it look like he's actually walked.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on that over the coming weeks and months, and still manage to steer the conversation back to how McLaren would do it as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Vietnam then.
Apparently so.
Apparently an actual Grand Prix.
Yes.
A real race.
Yes, and not just a deleted tweet.
Thank you, Sky Sports.
I mean, first things first, this is not going to be a good time zone for us. Let's be honest.
No,
my primary concern.
It's going to be roughly Malaysia sort of territory.
It's probably going to be about an 9 o'clock in the morning job, isn't it?
That's a good race time. 9 o'clock in the morning.
You start your blog like an hour and a half before, don't you?
Earlier than that.
I might be looking at that. Looking at the logistics of that for flyaway races.
Being up 7 o'clock, maybe.
Being up about an hour before then. So that's a good
Vietnam,
time.
I think, is on the same time zone as China, and that's
7 hours ahead of the UK.
Ouch.
so. Yeah, if we're calling that 1 o'clock, then that would be a 6 o'clock start.
Not the end of the world. I think because we've got a lot of American listeners to this podcast, and they always point out the times that they have to get up to watch the vast majority of races,
or stay awake until.
Yeah, I mean, a Vietnam race would be great
That'd be all right for a late
great
night.
for North America, because you can make it part of your Saturday night.
Excellent, yeah.
To be fair, they do get a large portion of the sport, though, that they can watch at reasonable times.
Yeah, like try watching like a UFC or a boxing or something over here. That's
UFC
always hell.
was the one I was going to bring up.
Yeah,
Official 3 legs 4 wheels accountant Steve completely like powered down for an hour, didn't he? During the it was the McGregor
Mayweather fight.
We'd all gone back 2 hours and he just like fell asleep, bolt upright.
3 legs in an octagon is not going to be a podcast.
No. No, because that usually involves staying up till about 5 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Now, I could do that when I was 20. I haven't been 20 this century.
I did it where for the McGregor fight though.
You're 121.
Bloody feel it after I've stayed up till 5 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
Staying quiet. Staying quiet.
Talking of being old, by the way, I just want to wish James Sutty Corbett a happy 40th birthday today because he sent a tweet earlier.
Oh, happy birthday.
He's a 49ers fan, so he's going to be in a good mood this week.
Sutty Corbett.
Yeah.
As in
Harry Corbett
yeah.
and Sutty.
Yeah. Very good. Good nickname.
Yeah. But anyway, as we were saying, Vietnam, it's a street circuit round Hanoi, round a stadium, looks like Sochi.
Looks a lot like Sochi, the layout I've seen anyway.
Is it going to happen?
Well, apparently it's stamped it's in for 2020.
Yeah,
which
so it was Long Beach for a while.
I was going to say
wasn't
Miami
it?
was definitely happening,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
For 2019? No,
Yeah.
it's off. Yeah.
New Jersey's been happening for about the last 5 years, or
Yeah.
no, it isn't.
No, it's not. Yeah, that stopped happening, didn't it?
Copenhagen, they
reeks of
reckon
it
they were
in-
definitely going to
Yeah.
be ready.
Istanbul.
Yeah.
President Erdogan actually said he was.
Yeah, but he's a
looking forward
nutter
to-
anyway, isn't he?
Yeah, but he had a meeting with Chase Carey. There was pictures of him meeting Chase Carey.
I think Chase Carey just meets people. I think that's what he does. He just goes
Yeah.
around meeting
Hello,
people.
I'm Chase Carey. Yes, it is real.
It's Movember. It's his time of year.
It is.
But he has to start it freshly shaven.
But yeah, the official circuit apparently is going to be announced in the next week by the Hanoi People's Committee, which I'm assuming is the local council. It's
All the members of Hanoi Rocks.
who are Finnish.
Yes.
So it's gonna be a good one for Kimmy then. Bottas, not so.
Well, maybe because
No, because it's a Grand Prix.
No, he likes Russia though,
yeah,
doesn't
Bottas.
he?
That's
So-
what I was going to say. Bottas is all right around Sochi, so you know if it's this does look an awful lot like Sochi.
Right, typical Finnish attitude. If you can get vodka from there, I'll do well.
Yes, actually, I never thought of that. Bring on the Icelandic Grand Prix.
Does it not reek of like India though, and the like China, where we have a race there for maybe a year, maybe 2 years, and then
China's been there for
China's-
years.
Sorry, no,
China's
South
been-
Korea, is
It
that
was
what you're
South
thinking
Korea I
of?
was thinking of.
Well, I think the problem with the Indian and South Korean Grand Prix were the promoters both ran out of money. The F1 didn't get the tax breaks from the government, and the circuits weren't up to getting people actually there to see the races.
Yeah.
Yeah, no infrastructure around the Bud circuit in India, for example. It was just not.
I mean that was a building site up until
That
2
was
days
one of
before
those, wasn't it?
FP1.
No one was quite sure whether that was actually going to go
Well,
ahead.
that's what I mean. Like I know Vietnam is very much a different country now.
Yeah.
But is it the country that can put that sort of money into that sort of infrastructure?
Yeah.
I would
It's
say- I would
got a
say,
lot
well,
of new
There's-
money, isn't it?
Don't
It's one
forget
of
that there's
those.
going to be a massive difference between this one and the original, the last Turkish Grand Prix, the South Korean, and the Indian Grand Prix. This is going to be a street circuit. So this is going to be the new Azerbaijan or
Yeah.
the new Russia.
Yeah, and it'll be in a
That's
city centre.
Yeah, that's
so
a good point.
You're not
yeah.
you're not building a massive
Yeah,
white elephant
yeah.
200 miles away from civilization because what was
Like
it?
South Korea.
Like
with-
South Korea because
Yeah.
they were going to build a city around the circuit
And they never did.
then we had the global financial crisis.
Yeah, like was it the Abu Dhabi Yas Marina, the guy who just decided to reclaim a load of land and just Yas Island and built the Formula One circuit on it. And they said, it's all right, I'll build everything around it. And Formula One went, yeah, we've heard that before. But he actually has done that now.
Because all the money that went missing in the global financial crisis
Ended
actually
up at
turned up.
Yas Marina, yeah.
It's crazy. I can't remember the statistic now, but the amount of water they pump in to get that marina, you know, that they bring in, crazy.
Yeah, it is a completely man-made island harbour. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
in the middle
he's-
of a fucking desert.
yeah.
But yeah, this is why I think that the Vietnamese race is going to be a lot different to the new circuit ones. just because it's a street circuit. So the actual costs of putting the race together aren't going to be as high, and they're not going to be paying those back for X number of years until the circuit actually breaks even.
Yeah.
So I think there's hope for it lasting longer than about 2 or 3 years if it does get off the ground.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but like Turkish Grand Prix, it was a decent circuit. We had some good races in the Turkish Grand Prix.
Was an excellent circuit.
Yeah, we had races. Do you remember when the Red Bulls took each other out when they were leading 1 and 2? Were they not?
Yeah.
Yep.
And they took each other. Vettel did the whole crazy thing with the point drawing around his ear.
Yeah.
About Mark Webber. It was. I think McLaren had quite a close race there as well, didn't they? But
I think
Hamilton
they had
a really
they had
good
a
fight.
rubbing, I think, didn't
Yeah.
they? Like immediately after, but managed to keep it on track.
But I think that one went because there wasn't the money there from the promoters.
No one went either as well because of, like we say, it was in the arse end of nowhere.
Yeah, it was Istanbul, but not really.
Yeah, it was Istanbul-ish.
It was Ryanair's version of Istanbul.
Is it like Oxford, London Airport?
Yeah.
No,
it's not
Ryanair's
really
best
in
one was
London.
London Glasgow.
London, Glasgow.
Yes.
How does that work?
It's not even the same country.
If you advertise it in the US, where 400 miles could still technically be in the same vague city-ish conurbation, you can get away with it. Ryanair couldn't.
The London, Glasgow Metroplex.
Yeah.
No, that's not a thing.
You know, for anyone that's read 2000 AD, then Britsit.
Isn't that what's happening now?
No, that's podcast. I'll get me coat. It's in a completely different place. What do we got next then? What does it say? Mercedes can be champions. Well, we might as well just tie that in with the Brazilian Grand Prix preview.
We can do.
Because
There's not an awful lot of news. So
there isn't a great deal.
I was not here when the order was done because I was having a wee, but I do notice you have not got Haas appeal on there.
Oh, we don't have the Haas appeal.
They lost.
They lost.
They did lose.
So the floor that they were told was illegal in Canada
Was still illegal.
was still illegal
In Monza.
in Monza.
Shocking news.
It was a half chance of it, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Because of the Mercedes wheels. Was that it? So it's getting the wheels
the
allowed. I
Mercedes-
think that was
the
the
holes
idea.
in the cake tins that the
Yeah.
Mercedes had put recently for brake cooling, and Ferrari went, "Excuse me, they're not allowed." And the FIA went, "There's nowhere in these rules that says it isn't." And it probably will be banned for next
I
year.
was going to say, we're going to see next year that there's going to be no hulls allowed in wheel rims.
Maybe. But the Haas floor, it was to do with they couldn't get. We've explained this before, but it's to do with they couldn't get one in time from Dallara, could they? For when the FIA decided to change the rules because of the summer shutdown.
They were told it was illegal, and they were given a time to fix it by, and they said, "Well, we've got testing. It's the summer. We can't. Our suppliers cannot do it in that time frame." And the FIA didn't reply to their email about that, I believe, was Haas's complaint. They sent them an email saying, "We can't do it." FIA didn't respond, so Haas assumed it was okay. FIA assumed because they hadn't said anything different.
Well,
that it
FIA
would be
probably
done,
would have
and-
left it alone, but Renault went, "Excuse me."
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, Scarb said that they were told that they had until Monza to do it, and then other teams were allowed to protest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course,
It's-
Renault did because they're so close in the constructors.
Yeah.
And they also finished just behind Grosjean, didn't they? In
think they
Monza, I
did,
think.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it was Grosjean losing the points that put Renault actually up to fourth,
Yeah.
which I still think Force India should have, but that's another point entirely.
Literally.
Yes. So, Brazil this weekend.
It is. What was I saying again? Mercedes can be champions if Ferrari don't outscore them by more than 11 points.
Yes.
Maths.
On a Monday as well.
No.
So that's Ferrari 1-2 then?
Do you think Ferrari could outscore Mercedes by more than 11 points?
Yeah, quite easily.
Yeah, I
possible.
think they could do. I don't think they will.
It's one of those, isn't it? Hamilton's got the title now, so he's not going to win. Bottas is a bit, so he's not going to win.
See,
I don't
Dan's
think-
got a theory. Dan thinks this is the year Hamilton.
Dan has a
Yeah.
lot of theories, though, doesn't
No,
he?
no,
So-
I'm with Dan.
Dan says Grosjean third a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Don't
is a
bank on
different
a damn
Hamilton this
theory.
year. It's a different Hamilton.
Do you reckon Dan's correct with
Because
this one?
I don't think his drive, like, I think the turning off drive was his drive was just to win world championships, whereas I think Lewis Hamilton's drive now is to beat Michael Schumacher, and that involves wins and it involves championships. So I don't think you're going to see him turn off like he has done.
And it involves him comfortably beating his teammate, which, if you noticed in seasons when he can comfortably beat his teammate, he tends to do very well.
Yeah.
And I've just remembered that Dan hasn't sent any predictions in.
So quick, Dan, hurry up.
Or he will be saying Grosjean for the win.
Chris, are you under the impression this is live?
Yeah.
I'm messaging him now.
Yes. But it's Mercedes have come out with fighting words, which usually means they expect not to win in Brazil. Although they had the long wheelbase car, didn't they, in Brazil last year, and were doing pretty well until Lewis Hamilton decided to stick it in the wall. And even then, in the race, he still did pretty well by finishing fourth, like 3 seconds behind the winner or something ridiculous like that.
I think, would I be right in thinking that they'd already got the Constructors' Championship sewn up this time last year?
I can't remember, to be
No,
honest with
I
you.
can't.
Ferrari have put up a bit more of a fight constructor-wise
Yes.
this year.
Because Raikkonen has been better than Bottas.
Yeah, yeah, by far. And
he's the one losing the drive.
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I did see today as well Sebastian Vettel saying myself and my new teammate Charles Leclerc must work together on track next year. Of course they must.
Do what you're told,
Yeah.
boy.
I thought that was such a strange thing for him to come out with.
Yeah,
That's
of course
scared,
it is.
That scared Vettel.
Of course it is.
He's already nervous about what's going on.
Yeah, he was asked about it before it was announced, wasn't he? About how would you feel if Leclerc was your teammate next year? And he was like, "Well,
I'll leave
I don't
and go
really
somewhere else."
No. He said like, "Oh, I don't really know him, but I like Kimmy." It was an obvious like, I don't want the new boy.
Yeah, I don't want the new boy to push me so hard.
I don't want another Ricardo.
Yeah, is Vettel the same, do you think, in that respect? In that on years when he's had a teammate that's easy to beat, he does quite well.
He likes having his own way.
Yeah,
doesn't
much
he?
like
So-
Lewis Hamilton, though.
Yeah.
You know, Lewis Hamilton, when Rosberg was fighting him, he didn't have it so much easy his way. When Hamilton had Kovalainen as a teammate, world champion. Hamilton has Bottas as a teammate, 2 world championships. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Hamilton has Alonso as a teammate.
Yeah.
All out war.
Don't get me wrong. Right. Obviously, Vettel is a very good Formula One driver. You know, he's a 4-time world champion. That doesn't happen. 3-time world champion.
Four.
Vettel's
Yeah.
four.
4-time world champion. It doesn't happen by accident.
You
that
slept
sort
through
of thing.
2002 because it was that dull.
Yeah. But
2002?
he's 12.
12.
I think he meant to say.
I'm tired.
That was exciting.
Yeah, but I think that what we've seen this year with that Ferrari and the fact that Vettel still got beat kind of hammers home just how good those years at Red Bull were and just how good that car is. And I also think, unless Vettel bounces back from this next year and is fucking supreme like we've seen when he was in the Red Bull,
Yeah.
I also think it puts him in the very good Formula One driver back bracket with the Jensen Buttons of the world, not that elite tier of
Prost, Senna.
Hamilton. I don't think he might have the championships to look like he's up there, but I don't think he's up there.
Whereas I could argue that there's a driver like Nigel Mansell, for example, won world championship.
And he definitely does deserve to be up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's a good.
it's a strange one, isn't it? Yeah,
Same
more
as
world
the-
championships.
like a Damon Hill. Damon Hill should have been at least 2-time world champion.
Yeah.
But even if he'd stayed at Williams, say, yeah, and he'd won the next year and won 3 world championships, I don't think you could have classed Damon with a Senna. you
No,
know?
because Damon Hill was really good when he was out front
yeah,
and already in front.
Yeah, but
when Damon Hill had to chase a win,
it wasn't. It's
not
ju-
so good.
That's
Damon-
much like a Vettel, then, isn't
Yeah,
it? That's
it's-
what
it's-
always the complaint was with Vettel. He's very good when he leads, but can he actually overtake?
He can.
No one knew for a couple of years,
Yeah,
did
he
they?
can, but
Yeah, you didn't need to find that out
Yeah.
during the dominant
No.
years.
yeah, that's a good point though. We always, well, it's not just us, is it? A lot of Formula One media say that it's Vettel, Alonso, Hamilton, the top 3 drivers in the sport. Well, obviously we're losing Alonso, but I mean, for me, Alonso's probably again, 2 world championships, probably better than Vettel.
Yeah.
Almost definitely better than Vettel.
But apparently Hamilton's got one of those nice statistics now where he's like only 5 points away from being a 7-time world champion.
It's something crazy like that, isn't it?
He's got one of those Alonso statistics.
Yeah.
But
technically, if you think about it, he was 1 point away from the championship in 2007.
Yeah.
So, and what was it, 2016? He was like 4 points behind.
Yeah.
So that's his 5 points. Yeah, from being a 7-time world champion.
I do hope that I hope Lewis keeps his nose clean. I'd like him to beat Michael Schumacher's records because I just think it would be a cool thing to see, to witness. Because when Schumacher did that, you thought
that was it.
I will never, like in my lifetime, this won't be beaten. So it's just the fact that it looks like there's an opportunity for it to be matched, if not beaten.
Yeah,
is interesting. But I really hope he can keep himself clean through it if he does it, because that's one thing I think is
tarnish Schumacher.
It's a shame for Schumacher, because it is a tainted legacy, whichever way you look at it.
Yeah, because he was mooted as a dangerous driver in his early days at Benetton.
Well, apart from clean cheating. At that point,
at least twice during championship deciders,
and we're not sure about the legality of the Benetton even.
Yeah,
so apart from clean cheating,
there wasn't much.
He's. I forgot what I was going to say now. You had Ferrari that was fucking keeping Formula One like under hostage.
Yeah,
So it's not as grand as it should be. Whereas I think if Lewis beats that record and keeps himself without trying to smash himself into somebody else, at least it'll be a true like legacy that's left.
Yeah, exactly. We were saying, was it last week's podcast or the week before? But if he wins, say he's won like 9-10 races this season. If he wins like another 9 next season, and then if the same amount again the following season after that, he's pretty much on top of Michael Schumacher's 91 race wins.
I can't see, unless something disastrous happens, I cannot see Lewis not winning the next 2 world championships.
Depends what happens. I mean, we're always surprised, aren't we, when testing comes around? There's always one car that throws up something that we're never a front runner usually.
No, but would there be no? I mean, there's obviously the like aero tweaks for next year, but I can't see that being a massive issue because Mercedes' problems has always been following other cars. So if the FIA can sort Mercedes' problems out for them by making it easier, then
holy crap! Mercedes are the new Ferrari.
Well, I think that
they are sort of.
But it's
there's one driver who's all right at chasing other drivers and getting past them. It's Lewis Hamilton.
Do you know what? Right, you have to be. I know, like sometimes we get shouted at for supporting Lewis a little bit too much on this show,
and sometimes we get shouted at for berating him a little bit. Too much.
That must mean we're doing it right.
Yeah. I think if you can't admit whether you like the man or not, whether you think he deserves the championships he's got, if you can't at least admit that he is the best thoroughbred racer on the grid, then you're fucking deluded.
A lot of it comes down to mentality as well, because all he wants to do is win at whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
Wouldn't like to play Scrabble against him.
No, and he wins when he's not in the best car as well. So there are times when he hasn't been in the best car.
Vettel said, at no point this year has Ferrari had the best car.
Rubbish.
I feel that
Belgium.
might not be correct.
Now.
So yeah,
but yeah, Vettel would say something like that, or Ferrari's PR department would say something like that.
This is again the like we were saying about the Leclerc statements. I think is chinks again in the mental armor of Vettel. The fact that he even has to feel like he has to make that excuse, which is clear to anyone with eyes, is bullshit.
Yeah, but it's all psychology, isn't it? Ferrari would love to ruin Mercedes' party in Brazil if they can outscore them by the 12 points or more and delay the party until literally the last race of the season, or even hit Mercedes to it, because that's still possible mathematically.
Yeah.
It's unlikely, but parts are running at their very, very end limits now. Mercedes haven't had to do too many replacements of parts, so it is entirely possible that they could break down 4 times in the next 2 races. But that's both cars DNFing and Ferrari being constructors champions. However, it is unlikely. Mercedes appear to have this management mode with almost dialed, where anytime they're pushed by anyone else to go a little bit faster, they just sort of just turn it up just a little bit more. And it's like, well, how fast can they go? And I think it was Brazil last year where we saw just how potent that Mercedes power unit can be. Hamilton started at the back in a race where you're not really that, there's not that many overtaking opportunities really. And as I said, he finished 4th, but like a few seconds behind the leader. When the leader crossed the line, I think Vettel won the race last year. I'm not sure.
He did. Yeah,
when Vettel won the race, Hamilton was just coming into shot in the background to finish 4th. So there is unlocked potential in those power units, and it's all down to the management. So reliability, if that's what Ferrari are relying on, Mercedes poor reliability.
It's not going to happen.
If Mercedes have any worry about their power unit, they'll just stick a new one in, and then they know they'll finish the last 2 races.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many of each component they've got left, but you've not heard any dramas coming out of Mercedes about changing
Has
things.
Lewis had any penalties?
Lewis hasn't. Bottas has. I think Lewis is maxed out on everything, and I think Bottas is over on a couple. But I think that they're more or less all right, I think.
It was always going to be difficult with 3 components, wasn't it, this year?
Very much so.
That's not going down to 2, is it, next year?
Not that I
No,
know
I
of.
think they're actually keeping everything the same. I just forgot to plug my laptop
Are
in.
you sure? I thought it went down again.
Does it go down again?
No, I think they've left it at 2 of the absolute 3s and 2s because obviously the MGUH and the control electronics is
Good.
2.
Yes.
That's
Everything
probably
else
a
is
good
3.
decision.
And apparently that is not going to drop now until the new engine regs come in. I've stopped calling them 2021 regs because
You don't think it's going to happen?
when
No.
2021 happens in 2023, when they can actually make an agreement on it.
2023, yeah, we'll have to see again, won't we? But I think that it's going to be an interesting race. We don't know what the weather's going to do. We never know what the weather's going to do in Brazil.
Early weather forecasts are wet on Friday for FP1, dry for FP2, dry qualifying, and damp for the race.
See,
That'd be interesting.
That'd make it fun. Yeah,
Some good mix.
yeah. We'd also bring the Red Bulls into the mix if it was a bit damp or wet.
Particularly Verstappen. Verstappen likes a wet Brazil.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, unbelievable race that Verstappen put on.
That save is still one of the best moves I've seen him make because by rights he should have been
in the
wall, spinning anywhere but pointing forward on the track.
Yeah, and he was only 18 then, something like that, 17, 18.
Yeah.
And the overtake that he did on Rosberg after the safety car restart as well. Rosberg's left the door open on the outside of this corner where there's lots of water. I think I'll just overtake him here.
Yeah.
Just to have the balls to put the power down where it's really wet and not lose traction. And to pass a Mercedes as well. It was also putting a spanner in the works for Rosberg's title hopes as well at the time. But yeah, Verstappen was a beast during that race. And I don't think there's anybody who wouldn't want to see that happen again. 2 races in a row might be a bit sore for Danny Rick, but he doesn't appear to match Verstappen in the wet.
Yeah, well, Danny Rick has now confirmed that he will be taking part in the last 2 races of the season and not giving the car to Pierre Gasly.
Oh, okay. After his little spat in Mexico.
I think it was just an in-the-moment temper tantrum, wasn't it? I don't think it was ever a serious threat not to show up.
But if he does break down in Abu Dhabi, I do fully expect him to just walk away from the car, just like, nah.
Just go on like the Ferrari roller coaster or something for the rest of the day.
Just walk off, refuse the scooter. Do you know what I mean? Refuse the scooter back to the paddock and just walk off. Like, see you later, done.
Or head into the crowd.
Maybe. Like
It's been done before.
Alonso.
Yeah.
Let's not bring this back to McLaren again.
But of course, But of course, Renault wanted Danny Rick to do the post-season test, which Red Bull aren't letting him do. They are holding him to the exact end of the contract.
Yeah, which is the end of the race at Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
And then a couple of corporate things afterwards.
Then about a week's worth of media duties afterwards, so he's not allowed to take part in the Pirelli tests, which are on the Tuesday and Wednesday.
Right.
It's the young driver test.
Yeah. So who's taking the Red Bull? Pierre Gasly?
It'll be Pierre Gasly and one of Sean Gelael or Nick De Vries. Did I read somewhere that...
De Vries might be going on the Red Bull driver
Yeah, I was
program.
going to say, did I read somewhere that Nick De Vries is going to be in a Red Bull at some point before the end of the season?
He was potentially in for the Red Bull seat. Not the Red Bull seat, sorry, the Toro Rosso seat. The spare one that's still yet to be confirmed.
I think everyone's been in for that seat at some point, though, haven't they?
Yeah. Let's have a look. Just doing some Googling of my own here.
Yep, so...
Yeah, Louis Delatraz was one that came up, wasn't he? He's doing for Haas, I think.
Yeah,
the
yes.
test.
Louis Delatraz.
Yeah, Louis Delatraz is going to be in the Haas. Now, he's... has he been in F2 this year? Because
Yes,
if
he's
he
in
has, he's been
F2.
completely bloody anonymous.
No, he's
Then,
in there.
then again, you've only sort of really noticed the top three in
Yeah.
F2. The top three being George Russell, Lando Norris, and Alexander Albon.
And Mark Love.
Markolov's always noticeable for different reasons, really,
Yeah.
isn't he?
Sundays usually. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we see some unusual names that we're not expecting driving Toro Rossos or Red Bulls either in the next couple of FP1s.
It depends
or
who
the
wins
young
the
driver
raffle, I
test.
suppose.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the cost of entry is your eternal soul.
Yeah.
I think Dan Tickton might now have enough points for a test as well, so he could always turn up.
Yeah, he could have. He'll be able to do the post Abu Dhabi test.
Yes.
For definite, because that doesn't matter on super license points.
No, you need a certain amount to do a test. I think it's 14.
Is that so? Is that the same amount as there is to drive a race?
No, it's 40 to do a race.
40 to do a race and 20 to do a Friday.
Oh, right.
But it might not even be as many as 14. I think.
It's a token amount, but it's more than he
It
had.
seems a
this
shame,
year.
doesn't it? The point system. I know the idea behind it, but when it's actually stopping proper racing drivers.
Well, in the case of Dan Tickton, it's his own fault for getting banned for being a twat in Formula 4.
Yeah.
I've just read that Nick De Vries is financially supported by Sean Gelael's family.
Sean Gelael...
Yes, because he does have the KFC
yeah,
logos on his
they've
F2
got a couple
car.
from the Ferrari brigade. Not Ferrari, what's the word? McLaren.
I was going to say, Nick De Vries has been a McLaren young driver
Yeah.
since
But Stoffel
Gary
as well.
Paffett was a young driver.
Stoffel Van Dorn has Gelael KFC money.
So there is a lot of money in Indonesian chicken.
Yeah.
A lot of people in Indonesia, though, isn't there?
To be honest, if we
A
didn't
lot
do
of chickens.
Yeah.
if we didn't do song jokes, that could have been a perfect title for this week's show.
We do song jokes.
Usually, yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
As titles of...
There's titles of the podcast.
Yeah.
Do you ever pay any attention to anything?
No.
Oh, right.
Unless you say McLaren.
Yeah.
You can't get a song joke out of that.
No. Dry your eyes, mate.
No. Yeah. That's just Alonso's walk-off music.
No, that's the one from the TV series of The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
When he's hitchhiking down the side of the road. So, other things to look out for in Brazil. If it rains, are we going to see Grosjean make an arse of himself?
I hope so.
Probably.
Maybe, yeah. I don't think he'll get banned.
No, last year's race was dry, wasn't it?
Well,
But-
he's down to 9 points now. So
So we can do a good crash.
yeah,
and
so he's
not
allowed
be
at
in
least
trouble.
2 more cock-ups.
Right, okay.
Before he gets banned. Points
Yeah,
which
he-
carry over to
All
Australia.
bets are off
is
from
that
getting to Australia, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, points carry over for 12 months
Yeah.
from the point at which you got them. So
Yeah, I think his next point is disappears in Australia because I think he got a pretty hefty one in Australia, didn't he, for being an idiot?
No, it wasn't his fault, was it, in Australia? He
No.
had the unsafe release.
He did.
Remember when we
I don't
said?
think is a point thing usually.
Remember when we said? I don't think he'll have to worry about those points next year.
Yeah. Well, Haas, I'm still sure that Grosjean is default Haas man because Haas were looking to replace him with
Worst superhero
Yep.
Yeah.
ever.
yeah. if you were playing the Formula One game from the 90s, Grosjean would be default Haas man. That would be his name. Because
there were no other options. Really, were they?
I think they announced Grosjean and Magnussen like the day after Giovinazzi was announced for Sauber. I think they were angling for Giovinazzi at Haas. And then when it became clear that they couldn't get Giovinazzi, they looked around and went, "There's nobody else really. We kind of have to sign the same two guys up again."
I mean, they had Ferrucci as their test
Ferrucci's
driver,
probably
which
the
was
least popular ginger-haired man in
ridiculous
Formula
situation.
anything right now.
The least popular, passionate Italian American.
No, I don't know about that. Because there is your motorcyclist man who was a very
Fanati.
Yeah, Fanati.
He's back now. He's
back.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be racing in Moto 2 next year after...
as the teammate of the one whose handlebar
Who he tried to kill.
Was,
That should have been a lifetime ban. That
I think so.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing you can possibly do. I mean, that is possibly...
I mean,
like-
the police got involved in that, didn't they? Because
Yeah,
they were
I
a
mean-
bit weird like that anyway in Italy with their
Well,
manslaughter laws. But yeah, the police had a look at it.
It's not just manslaughter. It's when anybody...
Any kind of
any death.
threat to life.
Or, any death or any threat to life, somebody must be held responsible.
Yes.
that you could
Which
have
is
had
why-
that as attempted murder. You could
Yeah.
easily.
Oh,
have
yeah,
had
yeah.
it.
Which is why when Ayrton Senna died in
Patrick
Imola,
Head, I think,
everybody
had a
who...
manslaughter trial.
Yeah, everybody...
Air traffic
was
controllers,
held
if there's a
responsible
fatal plane crash in Italy, air traffic controllers usually end up
on trial.
on something. I think geologists, when there's been an earthquake, have even got in shit. They're a bit weird Italian laws
during
like that.
during death, somebody has to be held responsible.
And yet everybody drives like they're trying to kill each other.
Italy is the worst place I've seen for driving.
I think the phrases might as well be hung for a
Dublin,
sheep as for a
Dublin's
lamb.
right up there as
Paris
well.
is meant to be
Quiet.
pretty wild.
Dublin
and in
is
Paris,
okay.
they just
Do you know
drive
why
into each
Dublin
other.
was really bad?
Because they're all drunk.
No, it was about 20 years ago. The driving test authority in Ireland had that much of a backlog about getting people into a driving test date, into a slot. They actually gave an amnesty and gave a full license to anyone that had held a provisional for more than 3 years.
Wow.
And just gave them a full driving license because, you must be good at it by now.
Do you want to know something else funny about Dublin?
Keeps Dublin.
No emergency vehicles aren't allowed to break the speed limit.
Ah. So if you're bleeding out, but in a 30,
Tough shit. You have to wait for that ambulance to get there.
amazing.
That's unfortunate. Never get injured in Dublin.
Yeah. Yeah, the police catching a speeding vehicle? No.
Ironically, if you're in Dublin, the chances of survival have been halved.
Remind me never to be anywhere near there on St. Patrick's Day for many, many reasons. Because, I mean, don't forget, more people's last words in Dublin on St. Patrick's Day are, "Hey guys, watch me do this!"
Splash into the River Liffey.
I was trying to look up...
We were talking about Brazil now.
Well,
we're talking about
Brazil, while we're on the subject of Grosjean, apparently I can't find the story, but he's admitted that, some of the penalty points have been my fault this year.
Yes.
Not Ericsson's.
I'm assuming he didn't get any penalty points for the Azerbaijan thing, since it didn't really affect anyone other than himself.
Well, no, they made the safety car stay out longer.
Oh, that's true, maybe.
Made him a laughing.
I think
made him a bigger laughing stock.
That's definitely my favourite Grosjean crash.
No,
of
my
the year.
favourite
I know
was
there's
Brazil
still
2016.
no this
Not
year.
even
This
on the
year,
grid.
just this year. That's the best Grosjean crash, I think.
I mean, you've had over the years, you've had a few to think
I think
about.
Lee's favourite Grosjean crash has to be when he nearly decapitated Hamilton and Alonso.
I doubt Hamilton
That
and
was
Alonso were keen.
Favourite is a strange word.
Most
but I would
memorable.
say it was his best crash.
It was the
In
one that
terms of
scored
potential
highest on the
damage.
crashometer.
My favourite crash of all
4.5
time.
stars out of 5 on the Lee crashometer.
I think Joshua Kaiser has actually done a sketch of that crash with Grosjean in midair. I will try and find it and share the picture.
I think
Alonso did try and get his own back, didn't he, on Charles Leclerc?
he did. Take my car, you shit.
But it wasn't actually Alonso's fault.
I still worry because Alonso's had to move somewhere. People that have been connected to Ferrari's seat or to Kimi's seat not had the best of times sometimes. So I'm still unsure about what Kimi's actual motive to get himself back in that car would be.
Yeah.
Fuck, I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, my favourite crash of all time.
Grosjean crash.
No. Just favourite crash of all time was the wheel coming off in, what's his name's hands? Russian guy.
Petrov?
Yeah. Do you remember the wheel come off?
Steering wheel.
Yeah, hit the ground, then the steering wheel was just in his hands, but he was still turning it.
He hadn't noticed.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I do remember.
No, the best Petrov crash. I was just testing the curbs
That
to
was
see
a
how
good
wet
one,
they
yeah.
were.
Yeah.
I do remember Toro Rosso driver, I think it was it Kvyat, where he braked at the end of the straight in China and both front wheels came off and he
it
tried
might
to
have been
steer away from
Buemi.
the crash.
That was crazy.
Yeah, just like, you can't steer, mate.
That happened to both
Your
Toro
wheels
Rossos, didn't it,
have
that
gone.
weekend?
Yeah, it just sort of
Yeah.
simultaneously broke off.
Yeah, the front end of the car just did the splits.
It looked like a
But the
rubbish.
thing is, he's trying to steer his car away from the wall. It's like, what are you doing? You haven't got any wheels.
It looked like a rubbish Formula One game crash.
Yeah.
You know, you hit the wall and both your wheels fall off.
No.
Only all too frequently. Giving up on career mode.
I've fucking given up on playing the game. There's far too many good games out there for me to play Formula One.
If only you had a podcast to talk about all the video games.
I do. It's called Start Continue.
I was waiting.
Now.
Shall we do some predictions?
Let's do it.
We can do some predictions, yeah.
Dan has sent his in.
Oh.
And he's gone for Grosjean. No, he hasn't actually. He's gone for a Hamilton win with Vettel second and Verstappen third.
Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen.
I'm going to go Vettel, Verstappen, Bottas.
I think I am going to go Verstappen, Vettel, Raikkonen.
No Mercedes on the podium.
No.
Big turnaround of fortune in our topsy-turvy season, and it will be Hamilton, Bottas, Vettel.
Chris?
Similar to Lee. But the other way around. Bottas, Hamilton, Vettel.
Bottas.
Bottas to get his first win of the season.
Yeah.
What is it? If Bottas doesn't win this season, he's the driver with the most second place finishes in a year without winning a race or some shit
Really?
like that. Yeah.
Wow.
It's at the moment, I think there's someone from like the 70s. I can't remember who because I didn't read it this week. I read
Not
it a couple of weeks
Barrichello?
ago. It's not Barrichello. No, it's someone way back when.
No, Barrichello was allowed his one win a season.
Yes,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to keep his hand in. But yeah, someone had, I think it was 6, and I think Bottas is on 7 at the moment or something like that.
Don't forget, Keke Rosberg's 1982 World Championship was won when he just won one race that year. A single race win. That's all he won that
Yeah.
year, and he was champion.
I've often thought it'd be so funny if someone only came second, but it was a really mixed up season.
I remember
Yeah,
that
if
in
you
a
come
junior-
second in every race
Yeah.
and
In
a
everyone
junior
else gets
formula.
one win.
And I think it must have been the late 90s, early 2000s. It was like the Ford Car Cup or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, Renault Clio Cup, something like that. Just somebody did that. They didn't win a race all season. They finished second or third in every race and won the championship.
Don't forget how close Lando Norris has come to winning F2 this year. 1 race win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One race win, and he was he third in the championship.
Yeah.
I think so.
A couple
yes.
of points behind Albon. So yeah, Lando's a Formula One driver next year. So
It's amazing. It's amazing what you can do by coming on this show. Right, so we will be doing. I say we will be doing the live blog as usual. Chris and Dan will be doing the live blog as usual.
yes,
I won't be around for the Brazilian Grand Prix for about the third year in succession. I'll be on a plane, avoiding listening to the results and watching it on catch up, and hopefully finding out not too long after it's finished. Unlike 2 years ago when
the race was still going
The race
on.
was still
Yes.
going. We actually managed to do 2 different countries during the duration
Yeah,
of
I
one
think
race.
we got home before it finished, didn't it? Because there was all the rain.
Yes,
All the rain.
all of the rain.
Yes.
an entire country's worth of rain fell in one afternoon in a year.
Isn't
On-
that what just
on
happened
Sao
in
Paulo.
Qatar?
Eh?
Isn't that what just happened in Qatar when they
Yeah,
had
what-
their World Superbikes?
Yeah, one year's worth in one weekend, and the circuit flooded, and they didn't put drainage in because they didn't think
Because it's
they
in the desert.
need it.
Well, no, that's reasonable. Well, but that's another one of those circuits, isn't it? Losail is
Yes.
there's supposed to be things built around it. There isn't. It's just a circuit in the middle of the desert.
Yeah,
It's quite a good circuit, though.
It's
I
all
quite- I
right. It's
quite
pretty
like
good.
it.
Yeah, but there's nothing there.
No.
moving swiftly on. Total shunt time.
Ah,
First, before we do the total shunt, I need to address that my freedom of information request from last week was answered, And Chris Mihai, his real surname is unpronounceable.
Comes from a long line of unpronounceables.
Is 5'10" or 178 centimeters. So,
I have to ask because I wasn't here. What was why was this?
Because we thought his surname was Mihai, and I wanted to know just
if he
how
was
high.
I see. Okay, fair
Well,
enough.
as it turns out, he's not as high as you.
No, he's not as high. Mihai.
How high is Lee? 6'2".
Well, I thought I was 6'2". I think I'm 6'1" now. I think I've shrunk a bit.
Oh dear!
Shrunk.
You had an
Already
accident.
starting
Yeah,
shrinking.
must have done.
It's too much stooping.
Yeah, that's it. Stupid. not any other actions.
Too much. No, not too much. Too much painting and skirting
It's
boards.
too much. Yeah, definitely not impact.
Yeah, no.
Right. Right.
Moving swiftly
This one's from Dave Roebuck.
Dave Roebuck,
Dave Roebuck, regular contributor on Twitter.
NFL fan.
No, just general sarcastic.
General, just like
General
to make,
sarcasm is the best. I think.
General
just-
sarcasm.
just like to make fun of Paul.
No, just like to make fun of everybody and everything. In fact, I can give you.
Has Dave not made fun of NFL before, or am I confusing Dave with somebody else?
You're confused. I think you're confusing him with somebody else.
Sorry, Dave.
I think you can be sarcastic about the NFL without really following it, though. I'm sure there's plenty of
Hand
material
egg, there
there.
you go, done.
Let me
Peanut hugging.
Yeah.
let me find one of his recent tweets just to show the levels
Fearful
of.
football.
I am happy with NFL
Helmet
at the
wearing
moment.
peanut huggers.
I had like a £2 bet last night, and I woke up this morning to find I had a bonus £60 in my Sky Bet account. So I'm quite happy with
That's
the
good.
NFL.
I ordered Chinese on Saturday evening.
I got refunded.
No. Well, I had, and I was using my PayPal to pay for it. To find that I remember I had money on Kimmy to win, and I'd forgot to take it out of my
Bonus
PayPal
money.
account.
Free Chinese.
Free
Chinese
Kimmy
is
money.
on Kimmy.
Yeah,
What about his book?
it's over there.
Is it all right?
Yeah, I haven't really looked at
Is
it.
it actual Kimmy signed?
I think so. Sean, if you grab that little white book that's there, it's the one with the exceptional printing. It's behind the
Sorry,
camera
Dave.
bag.
We'll get to your total shunt in a minute. We're just
Look right in front. Yep, there's a bag there. It's the only bag on the shelf.
This bag.
Yep.
Right, okay.
There should be a.
You said carrier bag. I was looking for like a
I
Tesco
said
bag.
camera bag. Should be a white book. Yes.
Mission Winnow.
Printing quality on it is off the chart.
Kimmy's Book of Haiku. Dear Lee, congratulations. You're a proud owner of our book.
I'm not that proud. They made assumptions.
Where's Kimmy's signature? That's all. I'm
It's from the
thinking. I wanna
Philip
see.
Morris International Management.
Oh, is that it there?
Here it is. The right words do not need others to mean something. And then, if I had to guess, I would say that is an EL.
That looks like 22 from where I'm sat.
It possibly could be a 22.
But that's Kimmy Räikkönen. If you run your finger over it,
I think
it feels
so.
like.
It feels embossed. I think so.
It's clearly, it's got a sheen to it, like there
let's
is a
have a-
different ink.
We know
don't
somebody
know why.
who could verify this, don't we?
That's,
Räikkönen.
Well,
No,
yes.
Yeah, Kimmy
But
Räikkönen.
that's neater than I would expect Kimi Räikkönen's writing to be.
That's-
That effort has gone into that.
That's Kimmy signed. That is.
I think so.
I don't know that he wrote that.
I don't know if he wrote that at
You
all.
think he's got someone else doing
Well, to
his
be perfectly
haikus?
honest, there
I
was
was going to
only
show Paul because
there-
Paul's busy looking at something.
To be perfectly honest, there was only 17 of them. So if they didn't go and get the 17 signed, then I think there's something wrong with the word.
It's a pretty reasonable request, isn't
It
it? Can
is,
you
isn't
please
it?
sign these 17 things?
Considering didn't Verstappen sign like
All the caps.
10,000
That
hats?
was fucking nuts.
Oh,
I think we need a haiku out of the book, and it definitely feels like a genuine autograph.
whilst
I
you
would
do
go
that,
for the, I'd go for the helmet one because read the helmet one out. You've just gone past it. 'cause-
Oh, helmets are special. I wipe it so that I can see better. It protects my head.
Right, hang on. I found a picture on Google of the Kimi Räikkönen signature, and it does look.
It looks.
I think
pretty
it is
damn
the
spot
Kimi.
on.
Hey,
John Cooper
I've got a
Clarke.
signed
Shockingly, he doesn't put a massive amount of effort into his signature.
No.
It's like two
Weird
squiggles
that,
and a
innit?
dot.
John Cooper Clarke has written a haiku, which I heard on the radio the other day. Do you want to hear it?
Go
Go
on.
on.
To convey one's mood in 17 syllables is very difficult.
Very good. Very good.
Right. I think
Am I reading this?
You can go. You can go. I think that's a good one to go for.
Finland. In summer, there's fishing. In winter, the fishing is bad. Complete with picture of
Kimmy with hat.
Who I can't tell. I can't tell if that's meant to be Kimmy who's happy because the fishing is good, or Kimmy who's sad
Well,
because
he's
the
got-
fishing is bad.
I think he's sad because it's winter time there.
It's Finland. It always looks like that.
What, white and snowy?
Yeah.
Sometimes it looks green. Surely.
I shall put the book of haiku back on the shelf if we're done with this
I
interlude.
think we're done.
I think we're done. I will close this laptop. You've got yours open. Let us shunt it.
I was born
Yay.
Correct way of starting, Dave. Well done.
in 1940.
Ooh, okay.
70
Going
something.
way back
I don't
when.
remember.
78.
Okay.
I attended my first Grand Prix in 1958.
Aged 18.
Maths.
Worst catchphrase.
I retired from racing in 1969.
Age 21. Oh no, 31. 31?
39. 29.
29.
29, there we go.
So basically,
Maths
it's
has got less good.
someone who is either dead or old,
Or dead old.
and retired before any of us in this room were
I
born.
finished racing in 1969.
Or a brand.
Yes, he also got his first real six string.
Oh dear.
That's when I finished racing. Was the summer of '69. Well, I finished racing in '69. I can't think of anybody who may have died other than Jochen Rindt, who was 1970 world champion. So that kind of counts him out.
He must have been going then.
Yeah, yeah. He was still
I'd
racing
like
in
a guess.
1970. Anyone who died in '69?
There'll have been someone, but I can't think off the top of the head.
Yeah. Well, that's who it sounds like at the moment. Does it sound like somebody who died? If they started at like
That's young, isn't
might
it?
have
That's
just
young to
stopped
finish.
racing.
The other option would be that it's not a person. It's
yeah,
a car
or
or
a thing.
manufacturer or
I'm
brand.
just going to throw Phil Hill out there.
Phil Hill.
yeah. Okay, Phil Hill, 1961 world champion. That's the next one, isn't it? Next clue.
I enjoyed an active and colourful social life. My parties are often the talk of society.
Right.
I mean, Phil Hill, did he not die of some like debilitating kidney thing, or am I thinking of someone else entirely?
He died knowing he was the wrong hill.
I have Phil Hill's first world champion to be called Hill.
What?
First world
The
champion to be
original
called Hill.
Yeah, but it's not the hill that people remember.
No. I have Phil Hill's book.
Salisbury, One Tree, Grange.
Cyprus.
Yeah.
I'm
no, it's very
amazed that
good.
went that long.
It's very good, that book, especially the bit and part of his early racing career when he's told when his team were trying to tell him to slow down and he thought they were telling him to speed up. And he ended up winning the race by 5 minutes.
I think I'm going to need another clue.
Yes, please.
I'm a keen student of 20th century history.
Okay.
These days, that could just mean looking up Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's someone who's been travelling a lot. They're going to have had a bit of time to kill. Sit down with a encyclopedia or
Yeah.
something of that ilk.
I ain't got out.
No.
I need to reword this slightly.
Oh dear.
If the question's, I was the first world champion to be called Hill, and he's got to reword that.
When thinking of me, you might think of a German fashion designer.
You said Karl
Okay, yeah.
Lagerfeld then, but he's Swedish, isn't he?
Why are you looking at me?
I think he is Swedish.
Jean, help.
I think I'd like another guess as well, wouldn't I? Yeah.
A German fashion
German
designer.
fashion designer.
Tommy Phil Hilfiger?
Tommy Phil Hilfiger. That's brilliant. That's actually really good.
The only other German fashion designer I can think of is Hugo Boss.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's the German Cologne. Cologne is German.
Yeah, I'm struggling for the German fashion designers, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
It's not an area I'm up on.
Mountain Warehouse.
Oh no, I want a guess. Don't I? Give me a guess.
Wolfgang von Trips was dead before 1969, wasn't he? He was a 50s
I
death.
think he was, yeah.
He could have been world champion and wasn't because death.
Unfortunately, there's quite a few people in that category.
I can't think of a fashion designer that connects with that kind of name anyway.
No.
Um,
Wolfgang?
Just generic Wolfgang.
Jack Wolfgang?
Some of these clues are my favourite clues of all time. Well done, David.
They're playing the game right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got it. 5 stars out of 4. Give me a guess.
5 out of 7.
Wolfgang von Trips. I haven't got anything else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got nothing better.
I believe strongly in discipline and organisation.
So does every German.
Stunned silence.
Yeah.
My father was an obnoxious asshole whose death in 1980 was the cause of much celebration to anybody with a social conscience.
Okay.
Right. I'm wondering if this guy's father died somewhere in South America.
Are you thinking this might be the child of a Nazi?
Yeah.
Oh, what, Rudolf Hess lived until the 80s, didn't he? Oh no, it wasn't later in the 80s, I think. He killed himself. He was very. He had the run of essentially an abandoned prison, but he still killed himself when he was an old man. I can't think of any German fashion designer who would be
The only
called
ones I can think of would
Hess.
be like the Dasslers. Like Adidas and
Rudy Das.
Rudy Das.
the Dasslers, but were they
I'm not sure what they're linked to the
Nazi
the
Germany?
motor
maybe?
world is.
Is Adidas German?
Adidas
Yeah.
are German, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes loads of sense now. I think of the name.
Yeah, it was founded by Addy Dassler.
Yeah, Adi Dassler, yeah.
And Puma was his brother, Rudolph, because they fell out. So that's why Puma should really be called Rudy Das.
Slazenger?
American.
All right, okay.
It does sound a bit German, though, doesn't it? Yeah.
More so than Adidas.
Yeah.
Surely if it was German, it would be
German now.
If it was German, it would be Slazenga.
Reebok?
People call it Adidas, don't they?
Yeah.
Which is
Reebok, not from
incorrect because it's
Bolton.
Adidas.
Yeah.
Because it's Adi
Yeah.
Dassler.
Not going to tell me it's
Did you
Rickenbach
did you pinpoint where Reebok is from?
Are they not
Bolton.
from Bolton? Yeah.
Bolton. Actually, from Bolton.
I'm sure that's why Bolton used to play at the Reebok Stadium, is it not? That's where all their factory.
I thought
Shit.
Reebok
And that's
was,
why Amir Khan's sponsored by
I
Reebok.
thought it was a United States thing.
I could be entirely incorrect, but I'm sure they have some very strong tie to Bolton beyond sponsoring
Do we have
stuff.
another guess, or what's the
No, I
next?
think we just need another clue because we.
Need another clue. I think that you're on your last clue, but there is another one which you can have. I'm a great supporter of young and destitute women, having contributed tens of thousands of pounds to their welfare. I don't think that's the compliment it sounds like it is.
Something tells me
Is
it
this,
isn't.
I was going to say, is this someone who's frequented a lot of prostitutes? Do we think if
it's
that's...
Bernie Eccleston or Max Mosley. He likes Germans and women.
Max Mosley had a very dubious
Max Mosley
father.
has the Nazi
Yes,
link, doesn't
it's
he?
It's Max.
Is it
It's
Max Mosley?
It's Max.
This is the thing, isn't it? He had, I go, who's his dad?
Oswald Mosley, who was a
Mosley.
British fascist politician.
Yes, of course it was. Yeah.
Shall we go for it?
Yes.
Max Mosley.
Are you Max Mosley?
I'm Max Mosley.
Well done, Chris.
He likes Germans and young women. For legal reasons, Max Mosley may not have liked Germans and young women.
He just got photographed with a lot
He just
of
got
them. It's some
photographed.
kind of
Well,
avant-garde fashion shoot.
No, there is evidence to say that Max Mosley was in favour of Germans because he was the FIA, head of the FIA at the time when Ferrari, and in particular Michael Schumacher, were getting all the breaks.
Yes.
So he was favouring one particular German.
Yes, Michael Schumacher.
Yes. Bloody hell, that was a good
That
one.
was amazing.
It was a good one. That's
Strange that I put the whole German and young women thing together and instantly went, it's either Bernie or Max.
and he only put it in last week.
That was brilliant, Dave. I enjoyed
You
that.
put one in that I find particularly hilarious, and you jump to the top of the queue.
So how do you send a total shunt in?
You can tweet me at a total shunt in a private message, and that's it.
Cool. And if you want to get in touch with the show, you can tweet us at 3 Legs 4 Wheels, or you can get us individually on
At Sean Cowper.
At Flood21.
at Pablo100, and Dan is at Dan Dankleton. Right, Formula Lee update. It's Brazil. It's in a McLaren, and it's in the wet. You've got till next Monday.
It's a bit difficult.
It's a bit of a tricky one. Can I just ask if people can avoid sending times in between Wednesday and Saturday, because I'm not going to have access to a computer so I can record them all, because I'm going away for a few days this weekend. It's my annual rock festival trip. We will be back next week.
Yep.
With a review of Brazil. I'll have had a chance to watch the race by then. Anything else that comes up, if you want to drop us an email, get in touch at 3legs4wheels@gmail.com.
Yep.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Yes, we will.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.